Hey everybody, I'm Bianca.
And I'm Latira, and welcome to Melanated Movie Moments. So we kind of came up with this idea because we love movies and we started doing coronavirus because, honestly, that's the foundation of our friendship. We started talking about movies. Listen, we started talking about movies and we realized we both had such a big passion for movies that we decided we wanted to have some fun. And we came up with the concept of Melanated Movie Moments. So tonight, again, is our inaugural episode, and I hope you enjoy. Yes. This episode, we're going to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah. The second movie will be the U.S. versus Billie Holiday. So let's get started. Judas and the Black Messiah. Bianca, I'm going to let you go first, because I already feel in my spirit I'm not going to agree with you.
You already started. I just want to start with the fact that I still think this movie has one of the dopest titles I have ever heard in a film. I'm going back to that. The first time I even heard this movie was being made, before I even knew the cast, I was like, Judas and the Black Messiah. Yes, this better be good because that title is strong.
The title was strong. I will agree with you there. The title was very strong.
She'll agree with me there.
Yeah.
I will say overall, I think this is just an amazing film. We're about to talk about, I think it got nominated for 6 Academy Awards, 2 of them in the same category.
Which was confusing. About that. I'm confused by that. And Lakeith, with his little dirty nails, oops, did I say that? Made that statement. He was like, how am I nominated for Best Supporting Actor? So who was the leading role? And I do have that question myself, Academy. Who is the leading actor in that movie if the leading actor was nominated as the Best Supporting Actor with the supporting actor? But I digress. Continue.
No, I think that's a real good point, because I read a whole article that explained how the voting goes and how it happened, and it was still very confusing.
But how do you watch that movie and make him a supporting character? Because
he's the lead. The movie's about
his betrayal. Let's call it what it is. The movie is about his betrayal.
It is.
And the things he did to perpetuate his betrayal.
Yes.
So how is he a supporting actor is my main question.
Yeah, it's who is he supporting? Because
himself?
Like you said, Daniel, which off the cuff, I was like, he's the supporting actor in the film. I get that and I agree with it. But who's like you said, who's the lead?
I'm trying to figure out who's he supporting.
I don't know. On to Lakeith's portrayal though. Okay. And I'm gonna get to Daniel. No, we didn't forget about
Daniel, we ain't forget about your voice fishing south.
I got words about Daniel. I got words for Dominique Fishback. I believe that, because first of all, I love everything Lakeith is in, everything he's ever done. And if you're watching this, Lakeith,
I can't say I agree, but you're a great actor.
You are a phenomenal actor because you play every role and you fit every role, and they've been a very eclectic, diverse group of roles. He made me, I don't want to say care about in some ways, but he brought me into the mind and brain and fully formed a character that really, I'm just going to say that I can't stand as a person. And in the movie, I was angry with the whole time also. His portrayal was very interesting, and maybe shout out to the direction, shout out to the family support and how it did it, where it still fleshed out this character he's playing. But to me, it never gave him an out. I'm still angry with him at the end. I'm still upset. It never absolves him for me, even though I get to see, some of his personal struggles.
So you had empathy for him? Really?
Not empathy. No. I did not. Okay. Maybe at the very, very, very beginning, empathy of the idea of, I know the police really pushed on people in vulnerable states. And in real life, they were 17 or so years old when this happened too. So in the movie, he's older, but in real life, he's a kid when he gets arrested and he's scared, and the initial agreement. But I like that the movie allowed you to get into him as a human, but to me, it didn't necessarily soften it. I still couldn't stand him. I still was angry with him. Even in scenes where I felt his fear, or I felt the moments where he kind of felt, should I do this or pull back? They still gave you just little trinkets of, but he still did this, or he still saved his own skin in this part, and he still was smiling in the car. They still gave you those pieces where it's no. We're not trying to put a little halo on him now. We're just trying to let you know that it's too easy just to paint him this dark, evil villain. It's more interesting to lean in. It's like, what series of thoughts, questions lead someone to do this thing that he did, even though it's still jacked up? And that's the nicer word I can think of. But how did we get here? Like, we gonna actually dig into this.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I think it's great.
And I like how Lakeith played it, where you can see his fear, you can see his moments, but he never seemed like he tried to make it like, no, he's this great. No, they didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great that they definitely portray him understanding that we are not monoliths, right? Mm-hmm. So you can see the complexity of him as a human being. What I did not particularly like about it was, I don't know, I guess some of the dramatizations of him as a person, like his over the topness in certain spaces, and that could have really been how he acted. The person who the character is based on acted, but I guess for me it was like, you're doing too much. Why don't they know he's fake? You know, it made me question, like, why aren't y'all challenging him? Like, why aren't you challenging his account? You know, so that was kind of hard for me to connect to see the humanity in him, because it was certain things that was like, come on now, y'all don't see that he's a snitch. Y'all can't tell.
Yeah, I think it's hard because I think it challenges us too. Like, when you, after a while, and they did push through that part a little bit, because at the beginning it seemed like there's a little arm length and there's a little like, dude, you tripping, like you gassing. And then it kind of quickly gets us to the point where you see he's really in the circle. And I think so we missed a little bit of that bridge from this to that, because once someone is really in your circle or you've developed trust, sometimes we either forgive or we kind of overlook, like, that's just him, like the Wild Bill nickname, like that's just him, like that's just what he do. Yeah. And you cut your discernment switch a little bit, even though you shouldn't, but they do kind of, and I get it because there's a lot to cover, but it does seem like we get from when they are kind of looking at him funny, and Daniel playing Fred is kind of getting in his tail about how he's acting in the group, all to, no, like this is hit us, like this just what he do. Like, let him do this just what he do, you know? Right. So
I'm just, I still, and I guess because we weren't there and we're watching a depiction of what actually happened. And a lot of the people who were actually there are no longer living. Right. So it's a pieced together account of what happened. And so I guess for me, that is why I was just like, oh, like you can tell the block is hot. Like, come on now.
I have a point that I know, look, I can't wait. We're gonna let you talk about Daniel's voice.
Okay, so first of all, we over Lakeith. Lakeith, we love you. We think you are an amazing actor. You pissed me off in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, dude, I like him. He better be glad I liked him in the photograph, or it would be curtains for me liking him as an actor. Okay.
And shout out to therapy, because he said he went to, well, he's a proponent of therapy for people, Black men in general.
Thumbs up for therapy.
Period. But he did talk about, he definitely did some therapy, just getting that deep into the mind to play this character. And it messes with you, this kind of character in this kind of movie. So
I think that is amazing. We support therapy for all people, especially our Black people. So I appreciate you championing that cause, Brother Lakeith. So you back on my good list of actors. But we're gonna move on to Daniel. So Daniel, let me start here. Let me start right here. First of all, I need you to start picking characters with discernment, okay, brother? Because we can name about 3 movies where your character clearly was not given that gift, okay? But what really is pissing me off about you, because when I first saw you act, I did not know that you were from the UK, okay? And I heard you and I'm like, oh man, he's awesome. And then I heard you in an interview and I said, this brother then voice fished me. So Daniel, you will forever be on my list as a voice fisher, okay? You're a great actor, but you're a voice fisher.
Yes.
Bianca?
Yes. And again, when I say Daniel is another person, him and Lakeith, as soon as I knew they were in this movie, they did not disappoint. Because again, they act from the hair on top of their head all the way to their pinky toe nail. Like,
oh, dang. Not even just to the toe, but to the toenail?
Like the whole physicality. Like, if y'all have not heard or seen Fred Hampton speak, the real Fred Hampton speak, go look it up, educate yourself. Pick any of his speeches, but if you want to find the I am a revolutionary, like just find it, right? When I say Daniel, first of all, think Daniel, we support you. But when I say Daniel, from the body type to the way he held his head to the way he looked, y'all, shout out to the director, because even scenes like when they all walked in and they're meeting up with the other gang, and there's something so powerful about the way they walked in and the way he's just standing there. And it's not even so much like I'm trying to intimidate the other person, but it's like I'm standing my ground, I'm holding. I don't have to say nothing. You just read it in my body and in my characteristics. And I lost Daniel in a good way and really felt the spirit and vibe of Fred. Like I'm watching Fred Hampton, even though side by side, they're not twins or anything like that, but I felt the power of him, from his speeches to him walking into a room saying nothing, to his scenes with, and I'm getting right, it is Dominique. I apologize earlier. Dominique Fishback, because we will give her her flowers and her roses. I was trying not to flip because she's playing Deborah, but her name's Dominique. Even the little subtle flirtations and glance, like everything was just, you could put a scene on mute and figure out what was going on.
What I will say is I appreciated the intimacy of their flirtation. It was, even when it was subtle, you could tell that it was genuine and it was organic, and they both meant it. And it made me feel good. So like, as much as this movie is about the dynamics of someone pretty much being Judas, if you read the Bible, okay, because ultimately the title is a play on words from the Bible, Judas, who betrayed Jesus, who is the Messiah. He's probably black.
For them pieces of silver, which
for pieces of silver.
See him get his silver or his dollars in the movie too.
And then ultimately, the person who this character is based off of ultimately committed suicide, pretty much similar to Judas. So just a little biblical reference for y'all, just saying. But you could, inside of all of that chaos, I love how they were able to build the love story and the beauty of their love story into it. Because, when you watch movies, of course, there are always themes. And one of the themes in that story, or two of the themes that I thought rang very proudly, even with someone being deceptive, was the concept of family. Yes. And the concept of love, and like real pure love. And even with Lakeith's character being, like I said, being a backstabber and all those things, he was still a part of the family. You could tell they loved him and incorporated him in the family, and they looked out for the family.
Which is what makes the portrayal even more poignant, outside of, it is from reading history, but the movie does do a really good job of, even with that character, allowing you to kind of feel him in the fabric of, I like how you refer to it, the family, which is what makes the portrayal, even as the viewer, even if someone that didn't know anything about the background, it makes it sting that much worse.
Right.
Because it's like, you were part, like, are you serious? And I know you didn't not feel anything. So the fact that you still did this, even after feeling some of that love, even feeling to the point that there's an ending scene, scene towards the end, where you see all the emotions in his face before he does what he did.
Right.
His final, like, there's many betrayals.
The final betrayal that ultimately led to the death. And for anybody who has not seen the movie, I definitely recommend it. While there are things about the movie I did not like, the movie itself moved me. And the movie itself, because I love history, while there was dramatizations, you're going to do that. Yes. It's a movie. It's for cinematic effect. The movie did align well with the history, and it did definitely add notes about the history within the story. So I definitely think you should see the movie. I definitely think you should read up on the history of Fred Hampton. He was an amazing young man. He was so young when he was murdered, but he made an impact. He left a legacy, which was amazing.
And watch those police scenes too, because
absolutely
they do talk about the whole COINTELPRO and the nonsense that they were doing. And I almost didn't recognize, I think, Martin Sheen, because he has makeup on and stuff.
Yes, I didn't know that was him. It took me a minute, and I was like, I had the dumb face, like,
he's playing Hoover or whatever, but I couldn't tell. And the officer that Lakeith working with or whatever is very interesting because again, they didn't do a full-on caricature, and evidently they took some of their relationship notes from. There's a clip at the very end of the movie where you see the real Judas. I don't even want to call him by his name.
Nope, Judas. We're gonna
I'm
stick
just
with
saying
Judas.
that's his name. But you see the real him, and it's interesting because at the beginning of the movie, you see Lakeith dressed up like he is doing the interview, and at the end, you see the actual interview. But evidently, they pulled some things from his interviews and stuff before he killed himself about his relationship with that officer. And so you almost see some dynamic of what we just said with Lakeith's character of when you know stuff's getting further than you initially had intended to go, but you still don't stop it. And you see this police officer that there's a few moments where certain calls are made where he kind of is like, I don't get why we're saying this, or I really believe this. And every time he gets information that would tell him otherwise, it's almost like in his head, it's like, I won't even receive that so I can keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to receive the intel that this man's not this. I'm not going to listen to this call that y'all want us to finally do to stop Fred Hampton. And you see it register on his face like, oh, but you still do it. Like,
right. Because so even in a scene in the movie, and I don't know if this actually occurred, again, cinematic effect is a thing, where the officer actually listens to Fred speak. And like I said, I'm not sure if this really happened. I haven't gotten that deep into the history, but even if you were that officer listening to him speak, you know, he's speaking about pride, confidence, love within yourself and within your community. So I don't understand. I do understand. Let's be clear. I understand how they correlated having pride in yourself and your community with whatever BS words they wanted to add to it. But as a human, I don't understand how you sit there and hear that and really go back morally and do what you did, because that right there shows you that I just want you to understand that we love ourselves and we love our community. And if we don't fight for us, we don't have anybody else. So,
and he's bringing together people. Watch the movie. There's actually it's not even so much funny, but it is a little funny to me. But there's some scenes showing how Fred Hampton was bridging together multiple groups of people, including one group that his own folks was like, we going in where to talk to who? But he was bridging people together. And I'm like, oh, that's when it's a super problem. Like, wait.
Right. Because, unity, especially unity among marginalized groups, was ultimately the fear of J. Edgar Hoover, because he knew once there was unity, collective unity, then there was no stopping the greatness and the power of the collective. And so, and he said it. He said it. So it's not like I'm making up. I might not be saying the exact words, but it was absolutely said that that's how you destroy the movement, is you destroy the unity.
Yeah. And let's not sleep on the only, y'all, I think Lakeith and Daniel, I can't think of who I would even substitute them for, because they did such a phenomenal, fantastic job. And I'm saying that before I say this next statement.
I support that.
The only thing they're casting to me doesn't bring, and it's not their fault, is the fact that they're like 28, 30 or something years old in real life, something like that. And it takes away one powerful thing that if you don't know, and I know, and I almost got away from it, and I mentioned it earlier, like I even said with Lakeith's character, and when he gets pulled in real life, when he gets brought in and scared out of his mind and leaned into, he's like 17 or some years old.
Sure.
In the movie, they're young. You can get an idea they're young, but they don't read like necessarily teenagers, even with their beautiful melanated faces not cracking. They still not 17, 16, 18 years old, right?
Right.
But in real life, think about, these are what a lot of folks would say were kids. I mean, Fred Hampton was what, 21?
He was like 21 when he died, when he was murdered. Yeah.
So the events of this movie, like the leaders, and then even Judas, like I said, that's who he will be, and that's who he is. We're talking about people between the age of like 17, 20, 19, 20, like throughout the movie. And that's the only thing I think sometimes you might not get coming in that adds even another sense of, one, power to be like, we need to stop silencing our young folks, because the folks we're watching that led this powerful movement were profoundly young.
Correct.
And they weren't just leading other young folks. They were just Fred Hampton was a leader in his own right, through his ideas, his vision, and his push. It did not matter that he was younger than some, or that wasn't what was important.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's if I had to pick
agree.
something,
I agree.
You lose that. You do lose.
I agree. That. If now, and again, I support the statement that Lakeith and Daniel, A1, phenomenal. But if they were to have recasted it differently, I would have appreciated younger actors to portray the fact that they were kids. Because even at 21, let's be real, you might be legal, but you're still a kid. You're still so much you need to be exposed to, you need to learn. You just coming out of college. If you went to college, for most people around that time, you're still super young. So if that is one mark, oh my God, I agree with you, Bianca. That is one thing I would say, is that I wish we could have had younger actors to kind of boost that particular powerfulness of that era and of the people in the film.
Yes. Oh, and shout out, I know we talked about the men a lot. And
let's get to the
nominated. Shout out to Shaka, the director, and like the nominations this movie has gotten. Okay. Other than them being in the same category, but still, shout out to nominations. Dominic Fishback, to me, powerhouse. I don't think your name get lifted enough. The supporting cast, a lot were really, really good. So I'm not negating that. But I mean, again, I'm a big person about things that when you can act without saying a word.
Mm-hmm.
And her presence, watching him speak.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this strong, powerful Black woman challenged, and I don't mean strong in a way that they say, oh, we're strong so we can't feel. No, that's not what I'm talking about.
No.
But I mean, I even like when she walked up to him. I mean, she started off giving brother critiques. And he could handle it as a man. Like, he wasn't like, oh, my manhood is wounded because you came in, almost like, oh, okay, wait a minute. This is just.
He said, you want to elevate and uplift me. I hear you, sis. That's what that was.
And her scenes and her face, she has just the most soulful eye. Like, I could just look in her eyes and just see like the act. Like, she was incredible to me. If they're the powerhouses, she's like one of the heart and soul kind of this film. Like, it's just, there's even a scene where they talk about parenthood and becoming a parent and had this, what could be a difficult conversation. They both did such a good job. And
But Audra, like,
let's get back
you embodied everything that I knew about this woman and things that I did not. Like, you just, I forgot you were you. Really forgot you were you. And what I loved most about the movie is that you actually are a talented singer. So you actually could sing the songs. Like, I knew you weren't lip singing. Like, I knew you were singing these beautiful songs. And
she was so good, I almost forgot she was a singer. Not to knock her, as in, I know she actually sang the songs and it's beautiful. But I was like, I was so enthralled by her acting. Like, I almost got past the part, like, oh, she's singing it. Like, that's right, rise up, she's a singer, which.
But yeah.
And anything that brings Strange Fruit back up to the forefront. Because that's.
You know what I'm going to tell you? I cried. I cried. I got a little tear.
Yeah, I was sweating. What?
My eyeball was sweating. Yes, my eyeball was sweating when she sang Strange Fruit. And here's why. It is one thing to watch a movie that is representative of past and what we've been through. It is another thing to watch a movie and it's still so applicable to the experiences that we are currently living in.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately. And the saddest thing about that song is, while they're not hanging people literally. Well, they are in some places still happening because apparently lynching is not illegal. Did you all know that? It is not illegal. But
no, there's not a federal law for it yet.
No federal law against it. But to know that this happens still, to know that this song still holds so much value and power, it's not a historic relic. And then even if it was, the fact is it hasn't been that long ago. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's been 200 years ago. Like our mothers were teenagers probably around that time, or they were kids around that time, or our grandmothers were just about to have our parents. So it's not like we can't touch people to where this still applied, you know? Yeah. And so for me, when she sung the song, I could feel the hurt of the song because it's so applicable.
And then there's the scene in the middle that kind of feels like it comes out of Lee Daniels has an interesting directorial style. Sometimes, sometimes in moments when it hits for me, it is really powerful. And then sometimes I have moments where, and I'm not saying him and Spike Lee are two different people, but it reminds me of that. Like sometimes Spike Lee has moments where he goes out and he's explorative, and I appreciate that in people's art. And sometimes it hits me in a way that jars you more because it's not the normal flow of a movie, and it works. And then sometimes I'm like, okay. So but there is a jarring scene where I was even trying to figure out, is this happening right now? Is it you showing me like what has happened internet? But it was very jarring and strong and in your face about like lynching and what it looks like and the after impact of it and the people that like, it was really like, it hit me in the gut.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm gonna be honest, I am not completely a fan of Lee Daniels' directorial aesthetic, right? It's not my favorite. But with certain movies he has, like you said, while I'm not a full fan of his directorial aesthetic, in this movie, it worked for me.
Yes.
In this movie, it worked for me.
Now, we were talking about, a Judas last time.
Right.
This movie does take some licenses.
It takes a lot of licenses.
Creates a whole love story that nobody
that did not exist. Yep, like, it did.
What's my boy name? I'm about to look him up.
Child, I don't know.
It begins with a T. I'm gonna look you up real quick again. You are beautiful to look at. Audra's beautiful to look at. Y'all are beautiful to look at together.
But that didn't happen.
No.
Okay, let's be clear. Because I was watching it and I'm just like, I don't remember reading that.
I said, wait.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember reading that. But okay, I like it. I like where you're going with this. It makes some sense, even though it's not quite true. It could have possibly might have been true. What I will say that I appreciate is while he started off as a Judas, unlike the other one, that moral compass kicked in and he was like, you know what? I'm going to stop hurting my people versus just keep going down this rabbit hole.
You kind of see as it gets deeper and it turns into like, wait. I'm here too because I believe maybe in the issue with drugs or this or that and we got to clean up. But as he's uncovering, like it's deeper than that, or it's more about this song or more about them silencing this woman. He kind of pulls back while still in a way where it's almost like I'm still in because now I can kind of buffer and know what's going on and kind of play it again. This is in the movie.
Not true story. It's creative license.
They you kind of see that this don't feel right. Like the reason I was doing this ain't the reason y'all doing it, and I can't support that. Like I'm not good with that. And I also like that it's a small role. I love that Evan Ross is in this movie because his mama played Billie Holiday and Lady Sings the Blues. So I thought that as soon as I saw him, I said, oh,
my eyes lit up like, oh, Evan. I love Evan Ross. I think he is amazing. Movie. I think I cannot wait to see him in larger roles, Yes. Like I've seen him in things and he had some roles that are pretty decent, but I cannot wait to see him in larger roles because I think he is so phenomenal and so versed, Yeah,
he draws you in. He's not even a big character in here, but his scenes outside of my appreciation that your mama played Billie Holiday and the other one, and now you're in this one, and I just thought that was cool. but he has a certain magnetism that really works in any movie I've seen him in.
Yes.
Whether he's in one scene or a big scene, he draws you in.
You know what he is?
He draws, like, some about him, he pulls you.
He's like, you know how you got that favorite little cousin that you only see when you go down south for the summer or something like that? That's what he is for me, like that favorite little cousin that you're so excited to see. That's what Evan is always for me. So when I see him in something, I get so excited because I'm like, oh, my favorite little cousin.
Shout out to Everybody Hates Chris. Oh, I'm sorry, bro. Like,
you know what, Tyler? Real talk. Like, when I used to watch Everybody Hates Chris, I'd be like, God, this dude gets on my nerves. Jeez, Louise. Hence, it's Everybody Hates Chris. And you were Chris. But when I tell you, I have watched the growth in your career, and I appreciate how you evolved as an actor. Yes. And I appreciate being able to see you in other spaces to like you as an actor, you know? Like, yes. I don't continuously play that annoying character in my head about you. I look at other roles that you've had and I'm like, yeah, he's pretty decent. I like him. Even though you still look super young.
But you still certain people you watched grow up a bit, even if they were
right. And I think it's because I watched you in this like childlike role and you're an adult, and half the time y'all are already 20 something when y'all in those roles, but I digress. I think you're amazing, and I can't wait to see more from you.
And let me jump into our less melanated sister. And I'm gonna come back to Audrey because we
all gonna come back to Audrey, but I got somebody else to talk about too. But who we talking about?
This supporting the cast also had some moments. This is a non-melanated moment in this movie.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
First of all, I like Natasha Lyonne. I've rooted for her in her side stories, and you know, her as a person, she's come through a lot, and she's kind of got herself together, basically, right? Yep. We need a Tallulah Bankhead movie, because that actress pops up in movies about, like, I've seen other people play and everything, and this character comes in and out of those, and every time I see pieces, I'm like, that is such an intriguing person, this ally, this at least rumored to be, and pretty much confirmed, but rumored to be like bisexual woman at the time, but who also really hung and was really like an ally before people were allies with some of the Black artists, but also was scared because the way the Hollywood system was, like, but being a free spirit, like, even when she popped up in this movie, I was like, and evidently some of this is verifiably true, that they did kind of reach out or pressure her to try to get stuff on Billie, but she wouldn't. And even in her memoirs to her dying day, she was like, she would not talk or dish about her relationship, friendship, whatever ship with Billie Holiday. Like, she was like, I won't talk about that. Like, I will not speak on that, like, kind of thing. Like, she held that. And I'm like, side note, when is the movie about this? Because this is very interesting.
That would be a good movie to see. I will watch it. Absolutely. I mean, we will probably discuss it on Melanated Movie Moments, just because, you know, she, based on what I've seen and things, like you said, we've heard about it. She was an ally before ally was defined, you know? So another character I wanted to speak on, because I'm not sure if this was his acting debut for sure or not, Miss Lawrence. Let me tell you, I love me some Miss Lawrence, because I used to watch Miss Lawrence on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And when I tell you, baby, he got range. And Miss Lawrence, I hope I'm using your correct pronouns, and I apologize if I am not. But baby, range, okay? Because I would have never thought, watching Miss Lawrence on Real Housewives of Atlanta, I would have never thought watching Miss Lawrence on Fashion Queens with Bevy Smith. She's my aunt in my head. So hey Bevy, hey auntie. And Derek J.
Rashad is mine, so I got.
Oh, she mine's too. I got a couple of aunties. Listen.
Hey cousin. Okay.
Hey, but I would have never thought that in this movie I would gravitate to that character and enjoy that character. And what I love the most about that character, reckless behaviors and all, that character protected Billie. Now, how much of that is true or creative license, I'm not quite sure.
Right.
But the character in the movie, and we're speaking specifically on the movie, I love the level of protection.
Same.
And stand-by-ance, and I think I might have made that word up, but I can.
I like that.
Stand-by-ance that this character had for Billie. Because in watching this movie, you could tell there were traumas. And if you know her true story, there are traumas. There are so many things and experiences that she was in the world by herself. And so to have someone who through it all was still there
Yeah.
is important. And I cannot remember the other character's name.
Oh, I know the other friend. I know
one
exactly what
eye.
you're talking about.
You know, it was just great to see.
Rosalind
Rosalind.
was
Yeah, it was
played
great
by
to see
Divine
that.
Joy Randolph, but
Hey,
Rosalind,
Divine,
yeah, that's the other
yes,
friend.
Divine. But it's amazing to see. So I'm big on relationship, right? And I think it is important when stories show you relationship, be it romantic, be it friendship, be it family. And I appreciated the dynamics of relationship and how in certain scenes Billie abandoned Roz for certain things because she wanted certain stature and status, right? And she just wanted certain things. But in her mind, she's like, but you always going to be here. You going to ride for me. And as hurt as Roz's character was, she's like, okay, I know my position and what you're trying to do for us. So, okay.
Right. And they also understood that at the end of the day, Billie, for a variety of reasons, and like you said, traumas and hurts and things that had happened that were unresolved, and then was continuously getting traumatized throughout relationships and the police harass, all these things, right? Which is kind of sad because it feels like outside of those moments with friends, it's like Billie never really had a say. Like it seemed like there was never time for her just to really be, kind of be. Right. But her friends also understood that Billie had an addiction. Yeah. Billie was an addict. Billie had an addiction. And it also seemed like there was some grace in that because that seems like through it all, past the diva, past the singer, past the person with the addiction who maybe could be erratic sometimes. Like you said, there literally is a part where she leaves behind like the folks, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it was almost like they also know like she's struggling with this, like addiction is a disease. Right. And it's almost like they're like, I know her at her heart, like we still got you. And I thought that was really good. And to go to, what was their name in the movie? I'm looking, Miss Freddie, played by Miss Lawrence. I also appreciated, and Lee Daniels does do good with this, not letting people turn into full out caricatures that they could. So they didn't do the sensationalism of, oh, this person at the time, and he's gay, and he kind of plays with gender and what's right. Like, that's a part of that character, but it's like a piece. Right. It's not like, this is the thing about the character and everything's related to that. It's like, this is a character who plays and pulls on what society, especially at the time, would consider what gender should do or not do or whatever. But that's like a piece, that's just a characteristic because this is still a fully fleshed character and friend. We don't allow it to just rest and that's all they got. It's like, no, that is a part, but this is a fully formed character, a fully formed friend, and I was like, yes, thank you.
He did do a good job with character development, even in the creative licensed characters.
But the power of these performances and Audra Day, my God, like,
you
Audra
can't
Day
say
playing Lady Day. I'm done. It's a wrap. She got awarded the Academy of, like, come on. I'm just giving it to her now. No offense to the nominees. I have seen some of y'all's work. I appreciate you, but somebody just engrave it. Just y'all got a name on it yet?
Yeah, I would be shocked if she did not take home that award. Like I would actually be like, really? Like, so what movie did y'all see? Because what I saw, here's the funny thing. The only person I think could possibly, that we're not reviewing tonight, but Viola, be the only person that I could be like, oh, okay, I understand. But in real life, I would not understand if Audra does not get that award. I would not.
Yeah. Really, really good film. A little more creative. Like, it's funny because it's two like biographies we just went through in a sense, kind of thing. One follows history really closely, honestly. Like, again, not everything's 100, but it's about 90, maybe.
About a 92% factuality,
which is a lot. And then this movie, it's the essence.
It's probably more like a 32%, but who's counting?
Because so much of the movie is partially told through the lens of this relationship that never happened. So it's just,
so who's counting? Yep.
But
it was a great film. I would recommend that you watch it.
And Audra gives it her all, holds nothing back.
She does.